So we started talking, I guess, freshman year. Was it sophomore year? Freshman year. Sophomore year. Sophomore year. But it's like we never actually spoke in person until probably the end of junior year. And like so weird. I would see him in the hallways, and so we Snapchatted and God, I like totally regret doing this honestly because the number of people when I first started Snapchatting him, the number of people who gave me looks who were like, oh, like he Snapchats everyone, he talks to everyone, like just so like concerned. I don't know. I still like went along with it. I don't really know why. Probably because like when I would Snapchat him, he'd say, and I always say I tried to describe to people like he has a way with words. Like he really doesn't, but the way like he made me feel like I needed attention when really like in the past like I never like had attention, never needed it, and like once I stopped talking to him, honestly, like I realized I was like, wait, I don't actually need that attention. It was just like at the time I was like, oh, maybe I do need this, maybe I do want this.
So I met this girl. We had been going to school for a while together, and we were always friends. And so after we started dating, and after a couple months, something happened, and she was mad at me, and she said to me, "Do you still love me anymore?"
So originally, I had a tournament in Virginia, and we were staying with a family friend up there because we didn't want to pay for a hotel, and the girl was staying coincidentally in like that place also, and she was also staying with us.
So we sort of got together through a mutual friend of ours. She told him that he should start talking to me, but I was out of town when it started talking. So we started talking over Snapchat, just like sending pictures, not weird pictures, just normal pictures, and like texting, but we didn't hang out with each other or really know each other before then, so it didn't really bother me because I wasn't in town. And then once I got back, we had been like Snapchatting for about 3 weeks, I'd say, and then when I got back, we hung out that week in a group setting with our mutual friend and one of his friends, and the night after was when we went on like our official date. Like I picked him up, we got food, we drove around, we talked, and then after that I kind of like knew what he wanted to do, but he wouldn't say it, so I kind of had to like force him into it. Like I had to be like, do I want to drop you off? Like, what do you want? And he was like, or we could just hang out in your car. And I was like, I know what that means.
Okay, so the way we like finally hooked up was like this summer. He was basically telling me that he was like, I've never felt like this about anyone, and I had dated his best friend for a while, and he was like, that made me so like, and this is so disgusting. It's so weird. I don't know. It's just him. He's like a weird kid, and he was like, that just like really hurt me, and like I told myself, I was like, I would never do this. Like I can't do it, and then somehow I like found it within me to go. After I went to the fair, I snuck out of my house. I told my dad I was going to pick up my friend from a party, and I didn't know how long it would be, and I went to his house, and I was there, and we just hooked up, like, it was nothing, and then, because I had to leave, and then, and that was, like, actually, I was like, maybe, like, this could work out, like, maybe we could, like, not, like, date, but, like, be a thing, and then, like, we kept Snapchatting, but I don't have any classes with him, so I never actually, like, conversed with him one-on-one, and then the second and like I guess last time we hooked up was it had been planned out for like a while because I hadn't been home like a few weekends. He hadn't been home, like we kind of just never crossed paths, but I drove him home and I like realized on the weirdest thing, I don't know, I drove him home and like I felt like I was talking the whole time. Like he is just like, normally like this kid, like I would never like converse with him, I'd not be friends with him, like he just like wasn't my type, not like a friendly like conversational person. I kind of was like I asked him questions. I wasn't talking about myself, I just kept asking him, and he just was kind of like, yeah, like I was like, how's school, like how's your senior year? Fine. Like it wasn't anything like, I don't know, substantial.
And then when she said that, she texted me that, and I was like, all right, well, can we not talk about this over text? Can you come over and can we talk about this, and all that? and I was like trying to think about what I was gonna say, because personally I don't really believe in love at the age of 17. I mean, it was the first girl I ever dated. I don't know what love is, you know, like who knows. So, but I had said in the past, like, I love you, but it was like, I don't know, it wasn't like the context, like I was like looking into her eyes and I was like holding her hands, like, I love you, like, be with me for the rest of my life. It was more just like, oh, like, I love you, like I say, oh, like, I love sleep, you know. And then so then we were like together, and she asked me the same question again. It's like, do you even still love me? And for whatever reason, I just said, I never loved you. And
Like, you said that. You said, I never loved you.
I mean, I said it a little bit nicer.
so many
I was like,
words.
well, this is like pretty much exactly what I said. I was like, I never really loved you. that's like pretty much what I said.
She was like, I want to tell a guy that I like him, but I don't know, like, I don't want to say it. And I was like, why don't you want to tell him? And she was like, oh, I don't know. And I was like, well, I can't help you if you don't know, like, or not telling me. And then she was like, okay, I can't say it because he lives in Maryland, and she lives in Philadelphia. So I was like, whoa, that's me, I guess. And then so she started texting me and Snapchatting me, and as like, I mean, like, after a few days, the Snapchats were more like a bit more provocative, I guess, and she started sending me like bra pics, and when she would FaceTime me, she wouldn't have a shirt on sometimes, and like, I mean, this was my bad, okay? Like, stupidly, I asked her for to send more provocative pics, that's my fault. And then, as soon as I did that, which I think she's sending me signals, so I think it was an okay, like, thing to say if she's like half doing it already. And she flipped out, and she started texting in all caps, like, oh my God, like, you dehumanize women. I can't believe you do this. Like, I hate you. Like, I can't believe I ever, like, liked you. And I was like, whoa, like, holy shit. Why is this happening to me? So then we stopped talking for a while.
And so he just, after that, we, like, started hooking up, and that was, like, the first time we did, and we, like, would do that, like, in my car, like, at my house, something like that, for about, it went on for, like, 2 weeks straight, like, almost every day, for, like, each time, like, I don't know, we'd hang out for, like, a few hours, and then towards the end, I'd, like, pick him up. He would come over, and then he would, like, go to a friend's house, and he would text me being like, I'm bored, like, come get me again. And I'd be like, we already hung out. And he would just be like, it's fine, like, I'm just bored, like, come get me. So we would just really, like, hook up. At the beginning, we weren't really doing much past first base, and after, like, the first few times, like, got to, like, third base, nothing past that. Usually at night, not really during the day. I had things in the day. And then, yeah, it lasted a good, like, 2 weeks, and then after that, it happened one more time, like, a week later after it ended. Yeah.
We, like, got to his house, and his parents were home. I was there for, like, 3 hours, probably. Yeah. Third base, I'll say that. I don't know why I do this, but it kind of just, like, happened. It wasn't like I was uncomfortable or anything, even though, which is so weird, because I don't talk to this kid. Like, although I felt like I knew him through social media, which is so weird. Like, that is not normal. Like, that is, like, one of the huge problems that, like, is part of our generation, like, being able to, like, converse with these people, like, over text or, like, through, like, 10 words on Snapchat. Like, it doesn't make any sense but why I would do that. And then, like, after that, I don't know, we kind of, like, it was so weird. We, like, stopped talking slowly, gradually, and then I was, like, away one weekend. He was like, I never see you. And I was like, I just saw you, like, at school. Like, I don't know. And then, I don't know, and then eventually he's like, I think we should just be friends. And I was like, okay. And then I just, like, stopped talking.
It was hard to say It was very hard to say because I knew how much she loved me. I mean, even though, like, and I'd known for a while that she was, like, in love with me or whatever, but and so I always knew, like, I was somehow it was gonna come out that, like, I'm not in love with her. But it doesn't like change the way I felt about her, and she didn't understand that like love to me is something very different. You know, I don't know exactly what love is. I'm 17. Like, I think it's a little much. And I think like this idea that like all these like couples like are gonna stay together through college and do all this and that. I just think it's kind of silly, and I think it's more really people just being infatuated with each other, not really loving them. They love the idea of them, but how can you really love someone if I don't know. It's just
An experience.
Exactly. You've experienced like a fraction of what life is, and this is like only the beginning of this was only like the start of your adulthood. You know, you're like 17, like the past 15 years of your life has been spent like being coddled by your parents and all that.
Recently, about a month ago, she just randomly out of the blue texted me like, "Hey, I'm so sorry about what I said before. Like, I didn't mean it. Like, that was my fault. I was sending you signals and stuff like that." And I was like, well, this was kind of random, but like, made me feel a little bit better about myself. And so, I mean, we texted a little bit, like once or twice in between. And then just yesterday, I had another tournament in New Jersey, and then in Philadelphia, I had another game. So when I went to Philadelphia, she started sending me a little bit more signals again. And so, like, we were watching a movie, and like, she kind of wanted to give me a blanket and like put me closer to her, I guess, and started like taking my phone and touching me again. But I didn't like do anything because her family was always there, and also I didn't want her to, like, if I had tried something and like she wasn't actually sending me those signals, if I had tried something, it would have been really, really bad because we were already on a bad note.
So basically, we just kind of decided that we were gonna be like friends with like benefits, like nothing really like serious. It was fine, and then we hung out on a Sunday night, and then Monday morning I was texting him, and he basically just told me that he was talking to another girl like the entire time we had been hooking up, like nothing had happened. He had like had a big crush on her for like a really long time, but like neglected the fact that that was happening. And basically, like, throughout like the 2 weeks that we were hooking up, this girl just immediately showed interest in him. Like, something happened, he just realized that like she started liking him, and he basically just like decided that like he couldn't like see me anymore, and he just texted me like, "I can't see you anymore, like I'm taking this girl out this weekend." And I was like, this weekend? Like, I'm sorry, what? And so I was very sudden, I was very thrown off, and he just didn't want me to be mad. He was like, "You're not mad, right? Like, please keep talking to me. You are amazing." And I was like, "I don't really want to keep talking to you if all you did was use me." And he didn't really like get the fact that that's what he was doing, was literally just using me, because he was like talking to this other girl. And the thing is like, we wouldn't just hook up and like not talk. Like, we would like talk about things. Like, he was really nice to me. Like, I started to trust him. Like, we weren't really embarrassed around each other. That's why I was happy about it. And so basically it ended with him just being like, "I like someone else, we can't hook up anymore, but we can still like talk." And I was like, I don't want that, because like I'm gonna feel like sad, because that's like that makes me feel like the other woman in some way, even though she's technically the other woman. Who knows who the other woman is? So I just didn't like that fact of it, that I was kind of like being disregarded, and just like he used me and then like moved on.
So all of the reason why like I felt attracted to him was all through social media. Like, never once did he say in person like, "Oh my god," like what he would say over Snapchat, like, "You're so pretty, like I need you in my life," like all these things that are like sound so cliche, but like over Snapchat you're like, "Oh, okay." And then the way he ended it followed that same trend.
So that's what happened, and I said that to her, and she was freaking out at me, and she was like, "God, I don't know if I can be in this relationship anymore." And I'm like, And I was trying to explain that it's not, that didn't change, and it didn't change how I felt about her. It's just how I felt about her. I defined it differently than love, because I can't define it as love. I don't know what it is.
You still cared about her, but
yeah, exactly.
maybe not the same
And it didn't, and I guess I was in the wrong, because in the past I had said, like, oh, I love you, and like, but like, I don't know, like, I feel like people say that for all kinds of things, like, you know, I love to sleep, or I love to eat, I love my phone, I love watching TV, things like that. But, you know, you're not, like, actually in love with those things. It's just something you say, and it's something you say in the moment a lot of the times. So that happened, and it was just kind of, it was a mess for a while. And, I tried to explain myself, but she really didn't understand where I was coming from. And I understand where she was coming from. I feel like she was not, I don't know. She was clouded by her love being, like, turned down, I guess. I don't know, it was just a weird situation.
I left within like 10 minutes. She started texting me again, and she was just pretty much like, oh my God, it was so great seeing you again. I had so much fun. I always have fun when I hang out with you and stuff like that. And I was like, well, that's nice, like, you know, that's pretty nice. And then she was like, just so you know, like, I would have hooked up with you if like my family wasn't here, or if you had tried something. But also, what shocked me the most was when I was there, she had a boyfriend, according to her gay best friend, who also was hanging out with us for like some of the day. He told me that she had a boyfriend, and then as soon as I left, I asked her about it, you know, just in conversation, and she said she'd just broken up with him on that day when I got there. So, I don't know. But that was my experience.
A week later, when we ended, they're like a couple, like they're dating. He asked her to homecoming. They're always hanging out together. And this is like the same week that like we stopped hooking up. Like they hung out. He can't drive, so I don't know where they got to. They like hung out at a park or something. And they're like a serious couple now, I guess. And she doesn't know about me.
He was high with his friends, and he said, this isn't what either of us expected. And I was quite confused, because I was like, we're not dating, we're not a thing, we have no label, what were you expecting? Like, I don't know. I was hoping to go somewhere, but not at the time. Like, I wasn't expecting him to say this. And then he was like, I think we should just be friends, and all over Snapchat. And I was like, okay. And then I basically said, oh my God, this was the worst. I said, like, so why would you keep saying so after he said that, I was like, all right, like, period, like, K, whatever, which again is like sending messages over Snapchat, like, this would not happen in person, I don't know. And then he was like, but I still like you. And I literally straight up said, I was like, do not say that to me. I was like, don't lie to me and say that makes this so much worse. I was like, come on, like, seriously? And he was like, no, I'm so serious. I was like, all right. And then I just ended it, left him open arrowed.
Like, it was like at times I was considering ending it, and then I saw all of my friends also had that. They were all of my friends were in relationships at that time, and I was like, maybe I'll wait a little bit. You know, I was just like, you know, maybe not. Everyone else is. I'll be in a relationship for now too, and I'll stick with it for a little bit longer. But I would. Besides that, I wouldn't say that there was many outside influences.
Why did you consider ending it?
I just, you know, I was just getting a little, I don't want to say bored, but just, you know, it was
Restless.
Yeah, it was just, and I don't know, I feel like it was becoming more of like a friendship.
Okay, yeah.
And yeah, it just, there wasn't like that relationship element anymore, but that was just at certain points.
I wouldn't have been so, like, I knew what it was, but just the way that he would treat me, like, if I would, like one time I dropped him off because he went to a friend's house, and I went and got ice cream with a friend of mine, and usually, like, if I were to be, like, hooking up with him after, like, I wouldn't eat that much ice cream because I just don't like when I, like, feel gross or sick. Like, that just makes me uncomfortable. But, like, I ate a lot of ice cream, then I was going to go home and nap, and he texted me, he was like, no, can we hang out? And I was like, actually, like, I feel kind of nauseous, like, I don't want to do anything. He was like, that's fine, we can just, like, hang out, and that's all we did. We just hung out that night. We didn't do anything, and like just the way that he would treat me was just like not like other guys would. They would like be more like upfront about it and just be like rude, and he would like talk to me, and like we just weren't really embarrassed around each other, and like because we were like hanging out every single day, I just like it just kind of seemed like it could be something more, and just like the way it was going, like he didn't, like, because we were hanging out so much, like I knew he wasn't talking to somebody else, or so I thought, because that would make sense. But yeah, I did kind of feel like he led me on. Like he didn't really give any warning to like he was talking to anyone. So like we talked about it, and he said that he like wasn't, so that kind of was like a lie in itself. So I do think that he was leading me on.
Like I felt like all of the relationships I had over social media were so superficial. Like everything that was said to me was like, it's so easy to type words, especially like whatever it's called when you're like the 1 a.m. like, are you up text? You know what I mean? Like it's so easy to like say those things like with your fingers. Like it's so easy, but like I totally like I always thought about it, but before like talking to him like really, I was like, oh, maybe he actually is like an interesting person, because he's friends with some of my friends, and he's friends with like my ex, who's one of my best friends. Like I was like, maybe he actually is an interesting person. And then finally, all I had to do was spend 15 minutes in the car with him, and I realized I was like, this kid is no personality, literally so self-conscious, is not going to flatter me in any way, like orally or whatever, like verbally, like never, like it's and yeah, I would completely agree that it like has ruined relationships. Like what happened to like taking people on dates and like whatever, asking people out in person, you know? It's so easy to go fly under the radar over social media.
All of her friends, all of her close friends have been in very serious relationships, and they all are in love. And so I definitely think that had a big impact on, at least that's what I think. I have a feeling that has had something to do with it, and her expectation for that.
A week later, after we stopped hooking up, it was like Monday, and then when that happened, it was like Saturday of the next week. Our mutual friend, the one that originally got us together, she needed me to pick her up from somewhere, and I told her that I would go get her, and she was, wait, can you edit this next part out? She was high, and so, okay, yeah, you can say that? Okay, well, our friend was high, and so she couldn't drive, so I picked her up, and like, this guy and I, because we knew her so well, we just found it really funny because she never does the kind of thing, like this is her first time doing it. So we would always talk about how it was like so funny, like if that were to ever happen. So she called him and was like, come hang out with us, like blah, blah, blah. And we were still talking after this, me and the guy, and it was like fine. Like I was kind of trying to move past it. And
This
had
is
it,
after
like,
your relationship ended?
yeah, this is after the relationship. We were just talking, whatever, we would just text. It was fine. And so we went and picked him up. I was like resistant. I didn't really want to, but I just didn't want to leave her alone with me, just because like I had to like drive her home. And so we hung out for a few hours, and it was like awkward at first because he would be mean to me, but like in a joking way. But when we were together, but I knew that he still liked me because we were obviously hooking up. But after that, it just kind of felt like he was just being mean to be mean, and like I didn't really appreciate it because like he was the one that like cut it off with me and like was being an asshole about it. So I just didn't really like that he was still like treating me like that, even though I was driving him around, like I got him food, like I was being very nice about the whole situation. So our mutual friend lives about 30 miles away. She was at her dad's house, and she had to drive home. Like it was around 9 or 10 on that Saturday. So she didn't want to drive all the way home alone. So I drove her there in my car, and she drove with the guy. So they drove together all the way there, and I drove behind them. And then on the way back, I had to drive him home. So it was just going to be me and him.
At times, I was considering ending it, and then I saw all of my friends also had. They were all of my friends were in relationships at that time, and I was like, maybe I'll wait a little bit. You know, I was just like, you know, maybe not. Everyone else is. I'll be in a relationship for now too, and I'll stick with it for a little bit longer. But I would. Besides that, I wouldn't say that there was many outside influences.
Why did you consider ending it?
I just, you know, I was just getting a little, I don't want to say bored, but just, it was,
Restless.
yeah, it was just, and I don't know, I feel like it was becoming more of like a friendship.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, it just, there wasn't like that relationship element anymore, but that was just at certain points.
And so as we were driving back, he kept on like making passes at me. We stopped at we stopped at some gas station to use the bathroom, and when I got out, I was facing away from the door, and he just kind of came up behind me and like grabbed me from behind, like hugging me. And like he kept on doing things like that as I was driving. He would like touch my leg or like touch my hand or just like do things along those lines, and I just didn't really understand like why he was doing that. And I asked him, he was just like, I know, I'm sorry, like I don't know, and just kind of make excuses for it. And like I was very confused, obviously, because he was the one that had ended it. He was the one that he said he liked somebody else. I just didn't understand like what he was trying to get at. And so then once we stopped, he just basically like kissed me, and then like I didn't really know what to do, and I just told him like, what do you want to do, like whatever. And we ended up just like hooking up in my car. And he kept on saying how guilty he felt and how he felt like he didn't want me to think it was any more than it was. And that's kind of when I started getting angry. I just kind of was like, okay. And like I like still liked him because it had like just ended. So I was just kind of making an excuse for this to happen. But he was the one that started it and like instigated it. So that's why I was confused as to why he was doing that. And I kind of told him afterwards, like, okay, like, I have to go home. And after that, we continued talking, and it was just very confusing to me because he still saw this girl and, like, wanted to hook up with me, like, a week after he'd already told me that he liked this girl. So it did, like, after that, like, I did tell him, like, he was just using me, and I got, like, really angry at him just because, like, that was the part that made me really mad, that he, like, took advantage of, like, my niceness and, like, thinking that it was fine that he could, like, treat me like that along those lines. And that was the last time that we